Greetings, fellow conspirators. It is I, LG Grande, and you are part of the conspiracy for freedom, because liberty is out of fashion nowadays. Find us at Facebook, if you are so inclined, Kevin Klein, by going to Liberty Conspiracy, at YouTube by going to Liberty Conspiracy, and at BitChute by going to Liberty Conspiracy. You can't go to Liberty Conspiracy on Twitter, but you can find me at Guard Goldsmith on Twitter. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for all you've been doing for the Liberty Conspiracy. This just passed our first week. I hope you'll continue to spread the news and tell your friends to subscribe. And don't forget to hit the little bell if you're watching on YouTube, because it's supposed to tell you when new videos are out. I know many people run into problems with that, especially with liberty-minded productions, but I hope you'll do so, and I hope you will try to recruit other people to join the conspiracy. We have big plans for all sorts of videos, large and small, and liberty-minded, and sometimes just lighter. But I really am very pleased to know that so many of you are out there. Thanks so much. You give me extra fuel for the fire. Hey, guess what? It's time for another Liberty Conspiracy News Scan. Yeah, let's go right to it. And for this one, I will go to MRC TV and a post that was just released, one that I wrote for the website and organization that was just released today. The headline, 1,200 pastors defy, headline, 1,200 pastors defy California Governor Newsom's COVID closure. Will reopen on May 31st. Indeed, in fact, I just shot a video for MRC TV that should be coming out either later today or tomorrow. So I hope you'll watch for that one on their YouTube channel and their Facebook page, and follow them on Twitter. And I'll be posting about that as well on my Twitter presence as well. Oh, and you can follow me on Gab as well. I'm over there too. I like Gab a lot. And Gab Trends is fantastic, by the way. As the Drudge Report has become more muddled and strange over the past 10 months, maybe a year or so, Gab Trends has become really a terrific repository of information. Obviously, it leans more towards Trump supporters and so on, but I'm finding a lot of pro-liberty things there, and I'm really enjoying going there as part of my resources for news collection each day. So this is a pretty big one, and I just wanted to let you know about this because, as you can see here, the day after the Department of Justice warned California Governor Gavin Newsom about discriminating against churches in both his shutdown and his reopen orders, a lawyer announced that more than 1,200 pastors have said they will reopen in-person services in defiance of those orders on Pentecost Sunday, May 31st. That is a huge deal, a very, very big deal. And as I mentioned, the attorney who drafted the Declaration of Essentiality sent a letter to the governor declaring that the pastors were not asking permission. This letter was not sent for the purposes of asking permission. That would be attorney Robert Tyler of Tyler and Birch LLP law firm. And as he said, the clergy is convinced that we, the people, are ultimately responsible to protect the individual liberties that may be lost unnecessarily during times of crisis, regardless of whether public officials' actions are well-intentioned. And of course, I mentioned that Attorney Tyler mentioned James Madison, which is just terrific to know. And I do want to give, I also mentioned in this piece that I brought up the story of 1670 and William Penn, because William Penn is a great example for people alive today to see how people dealt with this in the 17th century, and how by doing so, by standing up for their religious beliefs, they helped establish the tradition in common law and in jurisprudential practice within the state, having to recognize this tradition of common law, of jury nullification, and answering to a higher authority. As I mentioned, the case helped, here it is, let me just go back here. In doing so, they acknowledged the dignity of man, and they tipped their proverbial caps to American history. For it was William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, who in 1670 acknowledged the supremacy of God over the state and the principle of freedom of worship over the British crown. In doing so, Penn helped remind us today of the power of the individual and our connection to history. Arrested in London for openly preaching Quakerism, Penn was brought to trial with fellow Quaker William Meade, both accused of unlawful assembly. Doesn't that sound familiar? In fact, I mentioned the same thing when I shot the video for MRC TV today. But they stood their ground and focused on the higher authority, on He who created mankind and established natural law over the commands and thievery of the state. And the case helped bring the common law power of individual people to the courts in London as the jury, led by Edward Bushell, refused to convict. As Julian Heiklin notes for Penn State University, they nullified an unjust law. And here is the quote. The jurors refused to convict the two Quaker activists charged with unlawful assembly. The judge refused to accept a verdict other than guilty and ordered the jurors to resume their deliberations without food or drink. When the jurors persisted in their refusal to convict, the court fined them and committed them to prison until the fines were paid. On appeal, the Court of Common Pleas ordered the jurors released, holding that they could not be punished for their verdict. Very important stuff. This is a direct link to the lineage that helped create the American system. As bad as it might be and as corrupted as it might be, these are some very important principles to remember because they're derived from common law, which is derived often from natural law, from the law from above, not statute. Extremely important stuff. So if you get a chance, watch for that one. You can go to the MRC TV website. I don't mean it to just be a promotion or anything like that, but watch for the video coming up. And I also want to compliment Bob Edelman of The New American because he was the one who originally wrote this piece, and it was terrific that I got an opportunity to see that, and I want to compliment him. Yeah, well done. I also want to compliment Christian Britschke, who always does great work for Reason. He has highlighted the plight of these people from Arizona. I'm just going to go through this briefly. This is going to be a real short news update for you, news scan, because I want to get to the final one, which is really funny. And I want to make it brief for you, something quick and light, plus, some possibly things that you might feel are important. I feel they're important anyway. County threatens fines, demands expensive alterations from Arizona couple hosting free yoga classes and potlucks on their property. Clearly not funny, clearly an invasion of privacy and an invasion of the principle of private property. Joshua and Emily Killeen left San Diego, California, looking for two things they couldn't find in Southern California: cheap land and lax regulation. Both were necessary for the married couple's dream of starting a wedding venue and yoga retreat. Her dream of opening a yoga studio and holding retreats and my dream of opening a wedding venue go hand in hand. Joshua Killeen, a military veteran and wedding videographer who was introduced to yoga through his wife, tells Reason. We're both sober, so we wanted it to be a space where people can enjoy events and fun times that aren't catered around alcoholic substances. That is super cool. Finding a property that was both affordable to the couple and zoned for what they were looking to do proved near impossible in San Diego. So when a family member offered to sell them a rural property in Yavapai County, Arizona, the Killeens jumped at the opportunity. They purchased the land and then set about building a tiny home and a barn that would serve as an event space for their eventual retreat. The two designed it all to be off-grid, sustained by solar power and rainwater, and the perfect setup for the wellness-centered life, and so on and so forth, or so they thought. Soon after constructing improvements on the property, Yavapai County officials informed the couple that their buildings violated the county's zoning code. Yes indeed, yes indeed. Now, I'm going to go into a separate piece on zoning. There's a whole history for zoning, and it actually stems from the British enclosure movement and the mindset of the landed gentry trying to make sure that they still had advantages during the 1600s and 1700s, basically, is when it sort of really came around, and creating a non-royal peerage system of landed gentry who then took over a lot of the common spaces that were basically arranged by many of the serfs under common law and establishing royal statute and decrees over these, and basically taking over their lands and getting a lot of advantages from the parliament. But it's another zoning problem, and zoning is just a massive, massive problem and destroys so many people's abilities to be able to use their property. It is a taking, because it is a refusal to allow you to use your private property in peaceful ways. You should be compensated for that according to the tradition of the founding fathers, at least if people are going to go that far. They informed the couple that their buildings violated the county zoning code and that they'd either have to pay for permits and perform extensive renovations or tear everything down and vacate the property. When the couple started to advertise their forthcoming wedding business and take deposits on future events to finance these alternations, I believe is what they mean, the county again threatened them with fines and potentially even the demolition of their home and barn. It also told them to stop holding free community events on their property. With no other way to raise money for the required renovations and unwilling to abandon their dream, the couple decided to sue. Today, they filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court of the District of Arizona, arguing that the restrictions imposed on their ability to advertise and hold free events that these restrictions imposed on their ability to advertise and hold free events amount to a violation of their First Amendment right to free speech. All right, so just want to give you that one. And by the way, if you have the opportunity, there's one other piece. I would refer you to this piece over at MRC TV. This one is getting a lot of traction. I heard David Knight mention this story today on his syndicated radio program. Chicago threatens to condemn, possibly demolish churches defying lockdown. I have a video for MRC TV over there. You can check that one out, and I thought that was a pretty important story. Now, I want to turn to another wonderfully non-corrupt system in New York. Here is a headline, and I wanted to make you aware of this one because in the last news update, I discussed how Hillary Clinton was praising Andrew Cuomo's great handling of the Cowabunga 19 so-called crisis to keep people safe. In the meantime, most everybody on the planet knows that he ordered a bunch of people who were positive for the virus, and we don't know whether they were positive for the virus or for the antibodies, whether they were communicable or whatever, but now the New York Health Department website has quietly deleted the Cuomo order forcing nursing homes to admit Cowabunga 19 patients that led to 5,000 deaths. Andrew Cuomo's order requiring nursing homes to take Cowabunga patients has been quietly deleted from the State Department website. The March 25th order read, "No resident shall be denied readmission or admission to the NH solely based on a confirmed or suspected diagnosis of Cowabunga 19. Governor Cuomo has been heavily criticized for the rate of nursing home deaths in the state, 5,300 of the 26,000 across the U.S. On Saturday, he defended himself by saying he and many other governors enforce the same rule as guided by the CDC. Okay, now you can read the rest of the story if you're so inclined, Kevin Kline. We'll check out this one. The webpage where the March 25th order was originally located now shows the message, "We're sorry, the page you were looking for is now found." Should be not found. The page was deleted after May 5th, according to Fox News. And as my old producer Dave Morgan said, you know, don't these people know that people take screenshots of this stuff? Like, duh. Unbelievable. And I leave you with this one. This is just the best. Had to give you this. MSNBC reporter speechless after he's owned for mask shaming people as crew has on no masks. This is awesome from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. This gentleman who was vacationing with his family from Illinois because of the lockdown there, they escaped from New York. No, it's escape from Illinois. Yes, he was just strolling along. He didn't even know. I heard him just about an hour ago on an interview with Howie Carr out of Boston. Howie had him on the phone. He's like, yeah, I didn't know who they were. I thought they were local reporters. And I was in the car with my wife and my child, and I had my phone, and I was like, oh, just going to go check out and see what these guys are up to, because it looks kind of weird. They're like gathering around. One guy has a mask, another guy doesn't. They're on the sidewalk near the beach near this lake, and a lot of people are walking around him, and he's like, he just got a weird vibe that maybe they're going to be like critical of these people perhaps. So as he walked by them, the MSNBC reporter, who was actually live, and he didn't know these guys were with MSNBC, the MSNBC reporter actually was on live with Katie Tur. You know, the doe-eyed Katie Tur, who's just so brilliant. It just boggles my mind sometimes. She's just full of insights. It's incredible. So she really turns on her brains and uses it to such an extent. It's just great. So I just have to show you this. This is great. The original post for this comes from the Free Thought Project, at least the one I saw. And so I want to head over there, and congratulations to Matt Agris for getting this out there very quickly. Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. You can read the text. I'd want to go to the video. And it says, NBC News correspondent Cal Perry was live on television when he was telling Katie Tur there doesn't seem to be any social distancing and not a lot of care when it comes to the corona you-know-what. He says, as he is shaming all the folks around him for not wearing a mask, he has the cameraman pan, and he grabbed the cameraman's arm, pan to the passerby and said, see, nobody's wearing them. Well, here's how it went. This is just glorious. And listen for Katie Tur's dumb response.
You can see, here, just around. Nobody's wearing them. Nobody's, there you go, including the cameraman. Yeah. Katie.
Striking images, Cal Perry,
Striking images. Oh, man. They're just insufferable. It's just incredible. It just blows your mind that they can continue with this charade. It's so sad. It just is crazy. And here is his footage. I believe his first name is Andrew something. He was on with Howie Carr. He was so funny. And here it is. Oh, man.
And they said they're worried about it. They're worried about this. But again, I think people felt like Wisconsin setting this time to open up. You can see, it's red. Nobody's wearing them.
Including the cameraman.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Half your crew's not wearing them. Yes. So thank you.
Oh man, that's just the best. And the greatest thing about this is he wasn't trolling them. He was just going up and observing them, and they tried to call him out. And of course, they were the massive hypocrites. He was just doing his own thing. He's just hanging out. They're the hypocrites. Of course, he's just living his life. They're being the moral preachers, the moral barometers, as they're breaking their own special code. It's just incredible. Oh man, I had to get that to you. So head over to the Free Thought Project, or you can go to activist posts. You can find it. It's going to be everywhere within like the next couple hours. So I just had to get it out to you. Anyway, everybody, I'm going to hit the road now. Thank you so much for being part of the conspiracy. Don't forget, try to recruit a couple friends. Let them know what we're doing, and I'll be seeing you.